Night folds itself around us once more. Whether you are here to rest, to let go of the day, or simply to drift in the quiet hum of the past, I welcome you. Tonight, we walk the dusty roads of a time long gone, not as travelers, but as builders, builders of paths that wound over mountains, across rivers, and into the beating heart of civilizations. The men and women who laid these roads did not work in haste. Their days were long, their tools simple, and their patience infinite. Yet without them, the world would have been smaller, slower, less connected. Let us step quietly into their world. Chapter 1. The First Light in the Camps. Night has not yet left the valley. A pale gray hangs over the earth, the faintest suggestion of morning. The air is cool and smells faintly of damp earth, charcoal smoke, and the faint tang of stone dust carried from the half-built road below. In the scattered camp, shapes begin to stir beneath rough woolen blankets. The road builders have slept in small clusters, 2, sometimes 3 men to a tent, huddled for warmth against the chill that seeps through the thin linen walls. Somewhere, an old man coughs. Somewhere else, a young apprentice mutters in his sleep, lost in a dream that will fade before the sun has properly risen. A few steps away, the cook for this camp is already awake. He moves slowly, not wanting to wake the others too soon. His hands are darkened from years of handling firewood, and as he leans over the clay stove, the first orange flickers of flame illuminate his face. He drops in a few more sticks, and the fire breathes, crackling softly in the stillness. The smell of smoke begins to mingle with the faint scent of yesterday's bread. A pair of men step out of their tent, rubbing their arms, stamping their feet to chase away the stiffness of sleep. Their sandals crunch lightly against the dry soil as they make their way to the wash basin, a simple wooden trough filled the night before. They splash cold water onto their faces. It bites at the skin and leaves their hands tingling. The camp is not noisy yet. It wakes slowly, like a long yawn that takes minutes to complete. The low murmur of voices begins to rise as more men emerge from their tents. One adjusts the leather strap of his tool belt. Another kneels by the fire, holding out his hands to the warmth beyond the camp. The hills are still wrapped in shadow, but the highest peaks are beginning to catch the faint blush of dawn. Somewhere in the distance, a donkey brays, the sound cutting clean through the quiet, then fading into the valley once more. The road, the work they will return to in less than an hour, lies just over the ridge. Yesterday they dug deep into its foundation, laying the first coarse layer of stones. Today they will carry more from the quarry, their shoulders aching under the weight, their palms chafed from the rough texture of the rock. But for now, there is only the calm before the day begins. The calm of small, familiar movements. A man tying the cord of his tunic, another testing the edge of his chisel with a calloused thumb, the cook handing out hunks of bread, still warm from the fire, the crust crisp and fragrant. In the distance, a single bird begins to sing, a high, thin note that seems impossibly small against the vastness of the hills. It is joined by another, and then another, until the quiet morning is stitched with delicate threads of sound. The men eat slowly, leaning against tent poles or sitting cross-legged on the ground. They chew without hurry, letting the bread soften in their mouths. Some sip from clay cups, filled with watered wine, a small comfort before the strain of the day. When the sun finally rises.
Chapter 2. Gathering the Stone. The path to the quarry begins just beyond the camp. It winds along the base of a low hill, the ground uneven but familiar beneath the soles of their worn sandals. The men walk in a loose line, tools slung over their shoulders, the clink of iron against wood marking their slow procession. The morning air is still cool, though the sun has climbed higher. Shadows stretch long across the dirt track, shifting gently as the men move. Their conversation is sparse, not because they are unfriendly, but because the work ahead looms heavy in their minds. The quarry is not far, yet the walk feels like a small pilgrimage. Every step brings them closer to the sound, a faint, steady rhythm that reaches the ears before the eyes find the source. It is the sound of stone meeting iron, sharp and deliberate, echoing off the walls of the cut earth. When the path turns, the quarry opens before them like a wound in the hillside. Its walls are pale and jagged, streaked with lines where chisels have bitten into the rock over years of labor. Dust hangs in the air, catching the light in slow-moving swirls. A few men from another crew are already at work. They stand balanced on narrow ledges, swinging heavy hammers with slow, practiced precision. The blows send small shards flying, their edges glinting for a moment before they fall into the shadows below. Our builders step into the quarry with quiet familiarity. They know where to find the best stone, slabs free of cracks, dense enough to endure centuries of wear. They work in pairs, one steadying the chisel while the other strikes. Each blow is measured, controlled, the sound ringing clear against the silence of the hills. The stone gives way reluctantly. It does not split easily, and each section requires patience. The men's arms work in steady arcs, their bodies shifting with the rhythm of the task. Every few moments they pause to brush dust from their eyes, or roll their shoulders against the ache. When a slab finally loosens from the wall, it lands with a heavy thud, sending a small cloud of powder into the air. The men rest their tools for a moment, breathing deep, tasting the grit on their tongues. Then they begin the work of shaping, knocking away rough edges, testing the weight, judging whether it will fit into the road's foundation or surface. The sun is stronger now, and the quarry grows warm. Sweat darkens the backs of their tunics, traces of white salt forming along the seams. The smell of stone dust is everywhere, dry and sharp, settling into hair, skin, and fabric alike. By midday, the first carts are ready to be loaded. Oxen stand in the shade, swishing their tails, their sides rising and falling with patient breaths. The stones are heaved onto the carts with care, not for fear of damage to the rock, but to preserve the men's backs for the long walk ahead. When the last slab is secured, the men step back, wiping their hands on the coarse cloth of their tunics. The carts creak as they begin to move, their wheels crushing the smaller stones underfoot. The road calls once more, and the slow journey back begins. Chapter 3: The First Road Lines. The carts creak slowly along the narrow path, the oxen's hooves pressing deep into the soft earth. By the time the men return from the quarry, the sun has shifted, casting a warmer light across the ridge where the road will run. Here the earth has been cleared, brush pulled away, small trees cut, the ground leveled by days of steady labor. It does not yet look like a road. It is only an open strip of dirt winding through the hills. But the men can already imagine the weight of stone beneath their feet, the clean, straight line connecting distant places. At the edge of the worksite, a man stands with a bundle of stakes in one hand and a coil of twine in the other. He is one of the measures, the quiet planners who decide where the road will lie. His task is not as physically demanding as splitting stone or hauling gravel, but it is no less important. A crooked road, even by a small margin, would mean wasted labor and shortened lifespan. The measures work slowly, setting the first stake into the earth with the heel of a wooden mallet. The sound is dull and steady, carrying only a short distance in the warm air. A second man unrolls the twine, pulling it taut before wrapping it around the next stake. The twine catches the light, a thin golden line stretching forward. Every few paces they adjust its position by hand, sighting along it with narrowed eyes. This is precision born not of rulers or modern tools, but of long practice and instinct. Behind them other workers follow, clearing stray stones and leveling the earth beneath the line. Their shovels bite into the soil with slow, even strokes, turning clumps of dirt that are then broken apart by hand. The ground here is dry, pale, and loose, easy enough to shape, though it will need to be compacted before any stone is laid. Occasionally the measurers pause, lifting their heads to scan the horizon. They watch the land's gentle rise and fall, noting where the road will need to curve to avoid a steep slope or soft ground. A small change in the line now will save days of work later. The oxen wait nearby, tails swaying, their carts, still loaded with stone from the quarry, stand ready for the next stage of the work. But today is about marking the path, giving the road its skeleton before the flesh of gravel and stone can be added. By late afternoon, the stakes form a quiet procession across the hillside, their shadows stretching long in the fading light. The men walk the length of the line slowly, testing each stretch of twine, driving each stake deeper until it will not shift under pressure. When the last stake is set, there is no cheer, no grand declaration, only a quiet satisfaction as they stand together, looking down the straight path they have drawn through the earth. It is a beginning, simple, fragile, and yet enough to hold the promise of what is to come. The sun sinks lower, and the men turn back toward the camp. Tomorrow the digging will begin. Tomorrow the open earth will start to take